After Donald Trump's win, Governor Maura Healey drew a line in the sand, and that brought a rally here to the State House.
We want closed borders. We want America first. And guess what? We did it.
Trump supporters rallied at the State House to celebrate a Trump presidential election, echoing why they voted for the former president.
Everybody's so upset that they're giving so much money to these illegals and nothing to veterans, nothing to our own homeless.
Steve Kozlowski of Quincy says he voted for Trump because Trump promises to send illegal immigrants back home.
Would the Massachusetts State Police assist in mass deportations?
No, absolutely not.
This week, Governor Maura Healey told a national audience Mass state police would not be involved in mass deportations of illegal immigrants. But that's not being well received by those who voted for Donald Trump.
The governor does not want to use state police, I guess, to enforce President Trump's policies. That just shows how brainwashed the liberals and Democrats are.
This could be politicized.
Todd McGee is a former Mass state trooper and expects deportations of illegal immigrants could end up being decided in state Supreme Courts.
That's going to be up to the individual state as to how law enforcement will interact with those federal officials in those requests for detentions.
These Trump supporters got plenty of honks as people drove by the rally, with these supporters celebrating a win after Election Day.
These deep blue states made great gains in this election. They made huge gains in Republican support. So, I mean, they can't deny what's going on.
It seems when it comes to deportations, all sides seem to agree no matter where you stand, if and when it happens, it will be an expensive and heavy lift.
Came down from overnight. The president-elect shed some light on his plan for mass deportations. What's he saying on Truth Social?
Markey, overnight, the president-elect announcing on Truth Social that he is prepared to tackle immigration by declaring a national emergency. The president-elect confirmed reports that his administration will use military assets to enforce mass deportation, saying the plans will, quote, reverse the Biden invasion of immigrants coming into the U.S. Our partners over at The Hill report over 1.5 million people currently live and work in the country and have a humanitarian or temporary legal status. They are at risk of being pushed out by the Trump administration. Mass deportations, this is something that Trump has long promised on the campaign trail. He recently brought on former ICE Director Tom Homan as his border czar. Homan, a staunch critic of Biden border policies and a supporter of Trump's plans for mass deportations, has already told illegal immigrants to start packing. Homan will be in charge of carrying out Trump's plans at the border, including these plans for mass deportations, which now Trump overnight confirms will include the military. Markey?
And Brooke, going back.
This is Micah chapter 2 and 10, and it reads, Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. Because it is polluted, it shall destroy you, even with a sore destruction. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachaha, Quadash. I want to give double honors to that apostle, Nettles, a great millstone, who rule well and teach well. Peace and blessings to you, sincere Akim, that are pushing this truth all over the four corners of the earth, week in and week out, in our truth and sincerity. This is Micah 2 and 10 again, and it reads, Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. We keep telling you, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, that this place, America, is not your rest, okay? You got our people seeking rest in America. You got people coming over here from various other lands seeking to live the American dream, seeking to obtain the life they never had, to try to chase success, wealth, their pleasures and desires. Here it is. The government has, welcomed and opened up the borders of the United States to so-called foreigners, and invited you over with open arms to give you, they promised you benefits, they promised you aid, they promised you housing, income, what they call it, asylum, okay? You got these various different so-called migrants committing crimes that would land Jake 10 years in prison or more. And they're being arrested, taken to jail, and then let right back out on the street. Okay. And speed up to, you know, the last couple of weeks concerning this whole presidential election and the outcome of this presidential election being Donald Trump being made the upcoming president. He is making, you know, a lot of bold moves and statements concerning this whole situation. And he's making promises to what? To prepare to enforce mass deportations. All right. You Israelites put your trust in Esau. You put your trust in this devil, the United States, the government. You thought he was going to be good on his promises. Hey, man, that's not how Esau operates. Okay. Esau's the ultimate reneger. Okay. You know, he's the ultimate backbiter, backstabber. Okay. He said he had his fingers crossed. It says, arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted. It shall destroy you, even with a sore destruction. And the majority of these so-called migrants that have came over and are still coming over across the border are Jake. You know, I would say 65 to 70%, maybe more, maybe less, are Jake's coming over here. Okay. And, you know, I've said this before, you know, many times there's definitely an agenda circling around this whole you know, border crisis, you know, so-called migrant situation, you know, whatever the case may be, whatever you want to call it. You know, Esau has things working in the mix of all this. Okay. He definitely has an agenda. You know, Esau just doesn't do things out of the goodness of his heart because he wants to give aid, he wants to give help to a particular people or a particular nation of people or people in a certain particular situation. All right. He also ultimately always has an agenda and a goal or something that he is not fully telling you. Let's go to Sirach, the 12th chapter, real quick, because our people continue to put their trust in the so-called white man. This is Sirach, the 12th chapter, and let's go down to the 10th verse. It says, never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. And, you know, that's a major problem with our people. They don't understand who the enemy is. They look at the enemy as being, you know, their brother, you know, someone of their own nation. But they never look at Esau as being the main enemy and the main problem and culprit of the various different things that go on in the earth and various situations that Jake finds himself in. It says, though he humble himself and go crouching, take good heed and beware of him. And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust hath not been altogether wiped away. Verse 12, set him not by thee, lest when he hath overthrown thee, he stand in thy place, and neither let him sit at that right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat, and that thou at the last remember my words and be pricked therewith. Verse 13, who will pity a charmer that is bitten with a serpent, or any such as come nigh wild beast? So one that goeth to a sinner and is defiled with him in his sins, who will pity? For a while he will abide with thee. All right, these migrants came over here, and Esau, I'll say Esau set them up, you know, very, very lucratively. Thousands of dollars a month on food stamps, thousands of dollars on just walking around money. Esau just gave them walking around money, you know, food stamp cards in the tens and the 15, 20,000s. And you know, you got a lot of these people that are so-called citizens that are angry because you got various different sectors of the United States concerning, you know, the homeless, concerning veterans, yeah, all these different sectors that don't receive nowhere close to that type of aid and have been fighting to get aid for years and years and years. So you got and, you know, people in an uproar, in an outrage. You know, a lot of these people could care less about the migrants, so-called migrants, you know, being over here. It's more about, you know, how they came over and what is being given to them while they're over here, because they're not, you know, being set up on the same playing field as the rest of the people. It says back in Sirach, the 12th chapter, verse 15, it says, "For a while he will abide with thee, but if thou begin to fall, he will not tarry. An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips." So he told these people those sweet words. You best believe Esau had agents deployed in various different lands outside the United States to rally up people, support, and spread the word that we're welcoming, you know, all over across the border. And once you get over to the border, we're giving you a heavy benefit package. Okay. So that word of mouth travel, and you had millions upon millions, majority Jake, come across those borders. It says, "An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit." So Esau has an alternative agenda with all this. See, our people don't see the underlyings of what's really going on, you know, and I'm not going to say I can pinpoint his agenda, which I believe is multiple agendas that are circling around this border crisis and, you know, the situations that are currently happening. But at the end, it'll all you know, be brought to light. It says, "He will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood." And, you know, we're approaching that time where Esau is going to seek out to not only apprehend and detain, but he's going to seek out to shed the blood of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans on a very, very high level. You know, that time in the scriptures is documented and recorded as Jacob's trouble. Okay. And these are the times that we're entering into. And really, you could say we're already at the beginning stages of Jacob's trouble. Okay. Or we're at the pre Jacob's trouble era. It says, "If adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first." Yeah, you know, you were told to come over, you were invited to come over, now you're being turned back. And who's at the forefront of that? None other than Esau Edom. It says, "If adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first." So now, once again, Jake is being painted as the problem. Because the majority of those so-called migrants, I'm going to say, you know, were Israelites. So Jake's being depicted as the problem of the earth, the problem of America, the problem of society. Okay. And you see the spirits being riled up on all sides. And the main characters of this movie are Jacob and Esau. And with Donald Trump being put in office, hey, you got these Edomites, you know, they got an energy boost. They got an energy shot. And a civil war, it's no longer brewing. You know, it's at the point where those cups are about to be poured out. Okay. Like it speaks about in 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter. It says, it says, "If adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first. And though he pretend to help thee. All right, this was all pretend. They got bamboozled. They thought, finally, somebody is concerned with our condition, is concerned with what we have to go through. We're dealing with the cartels, we're dealing with poverty, we're dealing with this, we're dealing with that. Finally, someone's concerned with our situation and is here to help us. And they looked at Esau with tears in their eyes, like, thank you. But it was all pretend, it wasn't fake. All right. I mean, it wasn't real. It says, if adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first. And though he pretend to help thee, yet shall he undermine thee. This is what's going on right now. You're being undermined. Esau said he had his fingers crossed, man. It says, verse 18, he will shake his head, clap his hands, and whisper much, and change his countenance. Okay? Now let's close out on 2nd Ezra 15th chapter. Let's go down straight to the point to the 15th verse. It says, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. It's getting closer and closer and closer. And the warning is going out all over the four corners of the earth. Yahweh Hashem Yahushua has his men proclaiming. We're standing on top of the housetops, the rooftops, okay, by the way of the YouTube. And we're proclaiming what's about to happen. But the majority of our people, they're not listening, man. They're too focused on the smoke screens. They're too focused on the games, the gimmicks, the distractions that's being set before them. And that's nothing but a war tactic. When you go to war and you go to battle, you set up distractions. You set up various different things to take the enemy's eye off of what's really going on, or to get the enemy's eye focused on something else. Okay? It says, for the sword and the destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. All right, and we're approaching that time. And that's a twofold scripture, and we're approaching both folds of it, both folders. The civil war and race war, that one people against another, which those main two characters are Jacob and Esau, the so-called white man and you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. They are going to be at the forefront of this race war. And the scripture in 2nd Ezra 15th chapter and the 15th verse is also talking about World War III. And we're right there at the doorstep as that as well. Okay, you see Ukraine firing off missiles over to Russia. Okay, so we're right there. Things popping off. As well as the major prophecy as well, that MOTB, which is going to be pushed very, very heavily very soon, and then it's going to be made mandatory, not just in America but various other parts of the earth. Okay, the majority of the earth, put it that way. All these various different countries, these lands, these nations, these governments, they're going to be rolling out, the MOTB as well. And, the majority of all the people on earth are going to take it. It says, for there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. And, with this whole presidential election situation, hey, people ain't going to let this go. The one side ain't going to let, that the other side got in, and the other side's not going to let that the other side, didn't or did get in. And the things that play out from here on out, that blame is going to be set that way. You'll see, you put them in, see Trump, see, that's what happens when, see, I told you. And then you got the other side, saying another thing, and it's going to keep festering, because that's what these elites are doing right now, man. They're pushing, they're gaslighting civil and race wars. This is what they want. They're bringing out a new order through chaos, through disorder, through confusion, okay, through discomfort. And they're pushing that and instilling that in the minds of these people. It says, It says, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Let's read 19 and we can wrap it up. It says, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods. And here's the reason. It says, because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. And, you know, our people have not, well, the majority of our people are not taking into account these things that are going to happen on the earth because they're not listening, you know, or they don't have that spiritual eyesight to understand and actually receive this wisdom and knowledge that is being pushed all over the four corners of the earth. The Most High has blinded their eyes, and he's used the powers that be. He's used these wicked elites on down. He's used Esau, Edom. You know, he's used the God of this world. Let's get that real quick and we can wrap it up. He's used the God of this world to blind the minds of the majority of our people. And that's another thing Jake can't understand is that the Most High Yahweh, which they ignorantly call God, he blinds the minds of people so where they can't receive something. Let's see here. So I know it's in Corinthians. So yeah, 2 Corinthians, the 4th chapter. And let's go down to the 4th verse. All right, this is 2 Corinthians 4 and 4. And it reads, let's start in verse 3. It says, but if our gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost. And, you know, that's why some of our people just can't get it. They can't receive it. Because Yahweh Shem Yahushua has blinded them that they can't receive it. That's why these debates are pointless, because you going back and forth with someone, ultimately, the Lord could have blinded the eyes and covered the ears of that person you're debating with. So ultimately, don't matter what you bring out, they're not going to receive it. Along with the people that side with that particular person. Okay. It says, verse 4, in whom the God of this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not. And who is the God of this world? Esau, Edom, pursuing to Job 9 and 24. And who is the God of this world controlled by? The ultimate power, Yahweh. It says, in whom the God of this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Yahweh Shah Mashiach, who is the image of Yahweh, should shine unto them. So they can't believe because they've been blinded. All right. Let's read that one more time. It says, in whom the God of this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Yahweh Shah Mashiach, who is the image of Yahweh, should shine unto them. So we gotta thank Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah, you know, constantly, consistently, every day, all day, that he has given this wisdom and knowledge to us and taken us out of this world. And also pray that we continue in this thing, continue in this walk, in this ministry, in this truth, and that we never forsake him. Okay, and that we can be protected in these times to come, especially, you know, concerning the hour of temptation, and be able to get beamed up into those ships and witness the great destruction of Babylon the Great and various parts of the earth. Lord willing, that was edifying. To the next time, Shalom.